Hello, my name is Jacqueline and I'd like to share with you something I've been talking about for 17 years now, individuality. Individuality is just how we're all different in how we think and how we see things, in how we act and how we communicate. In particular, I'd like to look at the importance of utilizing this diversity within a team environment. Henry David Thoreau said, "If a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer." Such a romantic idea. We love the idea, don't we, that the world is made up of different sorts of people. Well, we love the idea because the reality of it isn't quite as attractive. The reality is that person who's abrupt with you when you were expecting a warm and charming reply. The reality is that person who looks bored when you're in the middle of a brilliantly prepared presentation. Or the boss who comes in and doesn't say hello and doesn't smile at you and shuts his door. At which stage you're thinking, I love the fact that everybody's different. Or maybe not. Maybe you're thinking, fine, don't like you either. Because the reality of individual difference is really quite irritating. But here's the thing. A mix of personalities results in a far more effective team. Think of the mechanism of a beautiful old clock. All those cogs and springs and wheels, they'll only need to be different shapes and sizes for it to keep time. If it were all the same, they just wouldn't work together. And research shows this is also true of teams. One study, repeated over many years at Stanford University, showed that in creative teams, a deliberate mix of personality types resulted in 3 times more awards won every year, year after year. On the other hand, Belbin, who's a world-renowned expert on effective teams, presents research which dramatically demonstrates the ineffectiveness of a lack of psychological diversity within a team. The more complex the task, in fact, the more advantage you get from a mixed team. And that's all fine and well, but left to our own devices, we don't choose a mix of personalities. We're more inclined to gather people around us who are rather like ourselves. Maybe that's because we rather like ourselves. Maybe that's because people who are like us are comfortable and easy to communicate with. In the workplace, just as in life, it is often the degree to which we are similar that is the degree to which we are accepted and valued. So choosing a mix of types needs to be deliberate and requires an open mind and a bit of education. And the members of those mixed teams, they need an open mind and a bit of education also. Because although mixed teams are far more effective, they do take longer to develop smooth communication and a cooperative approach. All those cogs need to fit together well and run smoothly. The first step to making this work is learning to accept each other for who we really are. Because in spite of our conscious acknowledgement that people are different from us, our unconscious expectation is that they will behave as we do. Our communication style, for example, is based on the assumption that the other, in spite of all evidence to the contrary, thinks the way we do and prefers the way that we communicate. Underneath it all, we don't really think that people are different. We think they're just like us. They just don't do it as well. And then it makes no sense to hire someone who's different from us and then spend our interactions trying to make them our mirror image. We can't hire someone for their complementary strengths and then judge them for not showing our strengths. The more you insist on somebody seeing things your way, in fact, the more they're inclined to become defensive and close down. This will certainly prevent them from seeing things your way, as well as inhibit their own ability to do it their way well. Not being allowed to be yourself is discouraging, and having people not respect you makes you less inclined to work hard. Having misunderstandings in our communication leads to conflict. Having difference, in other words, without tolerance and understanding, just makes the office a rather miserable place to work. We need to train our people. Train them to understand each other, to appreciate their differences. Also, train them to communicate and react appropriately to each of their different team styles. Even if they don't do it perfectly, the mere effort itself has a huge impact on tolerance and respect. And the gains in tolerance alone improve cooperation and reduce conflict. If you can create this kind of accepting and honoring environment, the individuals in your team will be able to work at what they're good at, which is what we want, and not have to waste time and effort trying to be a way that they're not. Individuals recognized for their unique contributions find their work more meaningful and strive harder to perform. They also stay. So, hire a diversity of people. Educate them to understand each other and to communicate well, and you will have a finely tuned and smoothly running mechanism. Team members with complementary strengths working together toward a common goal. The truth is this: a mix of personalities results in a far more effective team.